Okay. So I thought I would do one of these intro videos. I'm going to practice really hard at looking at the actual camera and not looking at myself on the camera, which makes it look like I'm looking off into the distance, versus looking at you who's watching this video. So first of all, thanks. Hi, welcome. My name is Donica Contour, also known as DC Contour, author of A Change of Tide and The Legend of the Salt of the Earth series, which is a mouthful. I realize I spent much nights losing sleep over it, and I was like, you know what though? That's the title. The Legend of the Salt of the Earth series. This is book 1 in The Legend of the Salt of the Earth, A Change of Tide. By the time you're watching this, it will be officially out in the world, May 1st of 2024, which is really exciting because I started working on this book like 13 years ago, but that is a story for another time. Today, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me, just so you can kind of get to know me as the author. And if you've stumbled onto this YouTube channel, and this is the first thing that you're watching, and it's still pretty close to May 2024, then this is probably all that's up there right now, because we're growing slowly. So I just thought I'd jump in and say hi. So hi, I'm a mom. I've got 4 kids, I'm a wife. I've got a husband. He's a theater teacher. We live in Idaho, in this like tiny little town that every time I tell people that this is where I live, they always go, oh yeah, I drove through there one time. Yes, you and everybody else. It's okay. I have been writing stories for as long as I can remember. I've been telling stories for as long as I can remember. I've always been obsessed with words. Ask anybody that knows me, and they will tell you that the thing I love most about music is the lyrics of the song and whether or not they tell a story. If a song is all up, up in the club, dance, 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 probably not my jam. No judgment if you dig it, but I like stories that tell songs. Mariano Silhouette by Robert Earl King Jr., one of my favorite songs of all time. I love me some Taylor Swift because she tells lots of stories. If you don't believe me, go listen to all of Folklore and all of Evermore and basically every single thing she's ever written. But specifically, those are really good storytelling albums. So I am a Swiftie. I listen to a variety of music, a lot of country, a lot of folk type music. Like I said, if it tells a story, that's really the most important thing to me. I should have made some notes about what I was going to talk about before I got on here. Okay. I'm a Christian, a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I know some people say we're not Christians, but we believe in Jesus. We follow Jesus. I promise we like that guy. He's super cool. I have been married for, I believe, 14 years in August. Jake and I met at BYU Hawaii in an English class of all places. So like I said, obsessed with words. And I was a military kid, which actually you will see some of that in said book. One of our characters is a military kid. That comes purely from my own childhood. My dad was in the Army, and so we moved around a ton. I do remember one time we were living in Nebraska, and I was in kindergarten. I just finished kindergarten, and my dad got new orders, and we were going to move to Hawaii for the first time. And I was so mad because I was a weird kid. What kid in their right mind is like, oh, Nebraska to Hawaii? Yeah, I don't want to do that. This one, apparently. I remember threatening to chain myself to the wall. And my parents were like, that's a little dramatic, Donica, but cool. You're still coming with us. And I remember having the conversation many times. Fine, I just won't make any friends then because we'll just have to leave them anyway. And then I got over it, and I look back as an adult on my childhood, and I'm actually very fond of it. So much so that I have expressed to my husband several times, I'm like, I don't want my kids thinking that this little podunk town in Idaho is all there is in the world. I want them to travel. I want them to know that there's more to the world than just one tiny little town. which naturally translates into us living in the same town for like the last 11 years. My kids have never known anything different. It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. We watch a lot of YouTube. Hey, it's how you see the world these days, right? When you have a teacher budget. So for a little bit of my writing journey, like I said, I've been writing stories basically for forever. When I was about 10-ish, I started writing a story. It lives in the graveyard now. It's never been turned into anything. I actually played with the idea of, after I'm done with all of this, like maybe resurrecting that story and maybe turning it into like a kid's story. But it was a story of Samantha Rossi, who was named after two people. Samantha was a girl in 5th grade who I thought was like the coolest kid ever. I wanted to be her best friend. I wanted to be her. She played soccer and she broke her leg, and so she got crutches, and I was like so jealous. And then Rossi is the last name of a boy I had a crush on, who was on my soccer team. So Samantha Rossi was our hero of that story, and she was the last of the leprechaun hunters. Yeah, it is what it is. It was a good story. But after my brother accidentally deleted some chapters after one of my floppy disks, if that tells you how old I am, if one of my floppy disks was corrupted and I lost a whole bunch of the story, and then our computer was hit by lightning, frying the hard drive, I was like, I don't think that this story is supposed to happen. So into the garbage. So I've been writing stories for forever. And this particular story, The Legend of the Salt of the Earth, I will tell you the whole story of how that started, but I started writing it when my husband and I very first got married. We may not have even been married yet, but it was probably the year we got married. And I kind of played with it, right? I was in school, and so I tried to write as often as I could. And then when I was out of school, I was working on it all the time, constantly talking to my husband about it, bouncing ideas off of him, and wrote book 1, wrote book, I don't think I had written book 2 yet, went to England, so graduated from college, moved to Oregon, and got accepted into a Harry Potter conference. So there's a bunch of academics all wanting to study Harry Potter, which I don't know if you can you see? That's all Harry Potter. This is Harry Potter, but it's like this. Half of those things are all just like academic papers and books and stuff of Harry Potter. So nerd. I wrote my senior thesis for my undergrad on Harry Potter, and it got accepted into this Harry Potter conference. Went to England, drove up to Scotland, went and presented my paper in St. Andrews, which they call like the Hogwarts for Muggles, because it's this giant castle and it's a university. It's the coolest place in the world. And got some inspiration for how to write a story in terms of structure. And I was like, ooh, that sounds really fun. I kind of want to do that with this story. So I restructured it, rewrote it, wrote book 2. Meanwhile, my husband and I decided to switch things up, move from Oregon to Idaho. And we're here working, doing life, and decide to have a baby. Get pregnant, have my first kid, drowning in motherhood. I think I was doing like what I call back burner writing, where like I would kind of be thinking about things, but I'm not actually like sitting down at a desk and like writing things out. And had my second kid. We moved houses, still here in Idaho. Had my third kid, and I was like, you know what? I kind of got into some MLMs for a little bit, which, like, zero hate to them. Like, honestly, it saved me. I don't sell anything except for my books now, but I learned a ton of marketing stuff. I learned how to kind of manage my time a little bit better because I had this thing that I like really wanted to do. And so kind of learned how to like, well, you know what? Sometimes the laundry is just not going to get folded and just be okay with that. And I started thinking about writing again. And it was actually, I don't know if you know who Kelly France is. I did Color Street for a little while. She was one of my leaders. And she did this challenge of something for 100 days, right? Pick whatever it is, something for 100 days. And that was like a challenge to all of us in her, I don't know what you call it, her group, right? Everybody that had joined under her downline or whatever. Anyway, and I knew immediately what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to write for 100 days. And I'm going to make this stupid easy because I know myself and I know that I have a tendency to be like, okay, well, writing is sitting down for at least an hour. Okay, well, with 3 small children, that's not going to happen. There's no sitting down and writing for an hour. At that time, my oldest would have been 4. And then I had a 2-year-old, and then I had a like tiny baby. So yeah, that whole sit down for an hour thing didn't exist. That wasn't real. It was a fairy tale. I might as well have said, go ride a unicorn. It wasn't going to happen. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make the minimum, right? What counts as writing? 1 word. 1 word. That's it. 1 word. And so I decided to start it. I just like literally got out a graph piece of paper and like made a little chart of 100 squares. I might have even numbered them 1 to 100 to double check that I had gotten enough, and put a start date on it, put an end date on it, like wrote like start date and then wrote the date on it, and then a line with end date, and then said 100 days of writing, and then in parentheses, 1 word. And most days I wrote more than 1 word. There were the occasional days where I would literally like be about to fall asleep. Like, oh crap, I got to write today. Pull the book out, write down, she said, and then go to bed. But it got me back into the habit, and it retrained my brain to realize that actually writing doesn't have to be sitting down at a desk for an hour, plugging away, because that just was not a reality at that moment. It could be scribbling a couple of words in a notebook before I went to bed, and that counts as writing. It got my brain re-energized and like back in gear. And it made me also want to like reread everything I had written. And so I spent some time doing that, reread everything, and started writing again, like started writing seriously again. And one of the kind of byproducts was I was like, I just need to see it all at the same time. Like I can't plan this book out and write this story, these 5 books, this one story. I need to see it all at the same time. And so The Wall was born in probably 2021, 2022, shortly after baby number 4 joined the scene. So that's all the babies, no más babies. And now I have The Wall, and I've joked with my husband that we can move from this house in 2029, because by that point, all of the books will have been written, and then we can take The Wall down because I don't want to try moving it. So this book comes out, it should already be out actually by the time you watch it, 2024. And then the next book will come out, book 2, in 2025, and then 2026, and then 2027, and 2028. So by 2029, all 5 books should be out, and therefore we can take The Wall down. But that's kind of where I was at. And then I was dead set for a really long time on traditional publishing. I was very much under the general assumption that exists out there that you only self-publish if your book sucks and nobody else will pick you up. That's the only reason that people self-publish. And for a long time, that was true. And I was fortunate enough to find a little corner of Instagram and meet some really amazing people who've written some really amazing books. Nicole Adair Madeline Elizabeth, Maddie. Don't call her Madeline unless you're her mom. And Kaale McPherson. All of these guys are independently published authors. They're indie authors. They have published themselves, and they all have written these incredibly good books. And I remember reaching out to Nicole and being like, hey, question. You're doing this whole like self-publishing thing. Like, how come? Like, why? Like, what? And so we talked about it a lot. And then just kind of watching her go through her journey, watching Maddie go through her journey, watching Kelly go through her journey, and then kind of digging in a little bit on my own, kind of into the behind the scenes of like, well, what all is involved with traditional publishing, how much money, like, because let's be honest, as much as I love writing these books, I would ideally love to make a living doing this. And if I'm making 30 cents per physical copy of the book, it's going to take a long time. That's a lot of books to make a livable wage. But as an independent author, I can make $3 or $4 per book. Now, again, that's still going to take a lot of books, but not as many, right? Not as many. And so a variety of things went into it. And I decided to be an independent author. I decided to publish myself. And so I kind of started that journey last year, which I should have vlogged all of that, but I didn't think about that. And so here we are now with already one book out, and then the next books are coming soon. And yeah, now this is what I do. In between changing bums and making dinner and meal plans and eventually folding some laundry at some point. I'll fold laundry. I also need to do dishes and sweep the kitchen. I make our own bread. I make our own yogurt. I have some hobbies, like I knit. I always joke that I'm actually secretly an 80-year-old woman in a 34-year-old body, because my favorite show is like Murder, She Wrote. My favorite genre to read is like cozy mysteries, which is funny that I write young adult fiction, but I also feel like these are kind of a cozy mystery if you read it. Let me know what you think, if you agree. Harry Potter is one big whodunit. I don't know if you knew that, but I was like, oh, that actually explains why I love it so much. But that's kind of what we have for today. Hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea of my personal story. You'll see, I'll sit down one of these days and explain to you how this story actually like came into my head and how it kind of blossomed and kind of fruition of that. I haven't fully decided if I want to disclose how I formatted everything, in terms of like planning the whole series. I haven't decided yet. But I feel like it would be a really fun video, but I also kind of want it to be a surprise. I kind of want readers to have to like find it. We'll see. You'll see. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, see you next time.